What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked In Sports Podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me for this 2025 San Francisco Giants preview is Luis Barranco. Luis, how you doing?
How we doing? Cheers. It's March 1st. Baseball's back. As you say, there's meaningful baseball games to be played this month. How excited are you for that right now?
Fine. I mean, finally, we're finally coming down. I know spring training is going on right now. Spring training is a bit of a tease because, the main players only play 5, 6 innings, whatever. They only get a few at bats. The pitchers go like 2 innings. They're fun. It's fun to have on the TV, but it's not the real thing. It's kind of getting us ready for the real thing, of course. But yeah, we haven't had meaningful baseball in like 4 months or whatever. So really excited to finally see some meaningful ball. I'll be curious to see what kind of meaningful baseball the Giants are going to be playing this year. I think despite being average, and I can talk about the franchise history a little bit in a second, but there is some interesting things going on with this organization this year. So why don't you talk through some of the changes they made at the front office level this offseason?
So the main thing with the Giants recently, it's been like they've always been involved in these. Like again, they're like I don't want to call them Toronto West, but very Toronto West. And they've been involved with a lot of, what do you call it? A lot of free agent acquisition, bidding wars, and they've lost a lot of them. So Farhan Zaidi is out as the president of baseball operations, and Buster Posey is in. So, which is very interesting. As you guys know, Buster Posey was a 7-time All-Star. He was a 3-time World Series champion in 2010, 12, and 14 with the Giants. Probably one of the best catchers in our generation. I think you and me can debate between Buster Posey and Joe Mauer as best catchers in our lifetimes.
Yadier Molina, I think Cardinals fans would throw his name in the ring too.
Yeah, but when you talk about like all around, like Yadier was a defensive, like in basketball terms, Yadier Molina was like Tony Allen. Like
kind of. Yeah, that's fair.
So I know Alden's gonna listen to this and be like, whoa. But so yeah, if you haven't listened to the Cardinals podcast, make sure you go listen to that one with Alden. We talked about a little bit about that, but no, man, I remember like what I miss, like the nostalgia about the Giants, and I remember when they drafted Buster Posey. I remember like you remember when SportsCenter used to be highlights and it wasn't just like hot takes and debates. I remember that Buster Posey made like the SC top 10 because he played, I think it was in one college game. He went to FSU. He played every single position except the pitcher, which is ridiculous. So, but now he's the president of baseball operations, and the Giants have been a team stuck in the not in the cellar. They're not elite, but they're not bad. I mean, most recently, we remember them with the Gabe Kapler years where they won 100 games and they won that one game playoff with the Dodgers, which one team was in, one team was out. If you remember that.
They had the division series that year.
Yeah,
with the Giants, it wasn't the one game.
It was.
Technically one game. It went 5 games, but it was the DS.
But still, like that was like those teams. Like when you looked at them on paper, and I know you can go date back to our podcast. We've been doing it for a while. Like that team, when you looked at it, like it wasn't elite, but like they just like meshed well. For some reason, like everything went well.
It was,
yeah.
That season compared to all the other seasons, like I'm looking at their franchise history page on Baseball Reference. It's a really interesting organization. Like they're either extremely average or they're winning the World Series. There's not really that much in between. Like you mentioned, the 2021 season, they did lose in the DS in 5 games to the Giants or to the Dodgers, but they won 107 games that year. Kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. Obviously, it allowed, or it gave Gabe Kapler a few years of job security. But the year after that, 81-81. The year after that, 79-83. Last season, 80-82. The year before 2021, when they won 107 games, they were 29-31. The year before that, 77-85, 73-89 in 2018. Really bad in 2017. 64-98, 87-75 in 2016. They lost in the division series. They won the World Series 3 years, obviously 2010, 2012, and 2014. In 2010, they won 92, finished first. In 2012, They also won 90 games, 94 wins that year, won the World Series in 4 against the Royals. Against the Tigers that year. And then 2014, when they won the World Series in 7 against the Royals, they were 88 and 74. And then in between those 2 years, it was 86 and 76, missed the playoffs, 76 and 86, missed the playoffs. So it's just, it's weird. And they've only made the playoffs 2 times in the last 10 years. It seems like this team is either elite or extremely average, at least in, the 21st century. So, leaning more average this year, if we're going to be honest. We can talk through the roster.
That's very San Francisco like. I was going to reference I don't know. I read this on Reddit. I know I'm a Redditor. Y'all can grill me for it. I know William doesn't enjoy the Reddit.
No, I'm on Reddit.
You're on Reddit?
I'm not like super active, but I do use Reddit for some things, really trying to like get the pulse of fan bases and some things that I'm interested in too, like some podcasts that I listen to. There's some good Reddit pages that I keep tabs on.
Subreddits, yep.
You just got to avoid the weird stuff.
Yeah, there's weird stuff. Like not to get off topic, but there's the people talk about the YouTube rabbit hole. There's the Reddit rabbit hole, or like I'll be up at it and like going through. But I read this stat on Reddit. They remind me a lot of the San Francisco 49ers. In the sense that, do you know, since 2003, the 49ers, every time they make the playoffs, they either make the playoffs and go to a championship game or lose. So since 2003, they've gone to the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And the 7 times they've been in the playoffs, they lost the championship game.
They either made the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl.
Yeah, either or, not yeah.
And they've never won a Super Bowl, obviously, in the 21st century.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So that's kind of like the Giants. And so, I mean,
except the Giants actually get over the hump. They've won 3 World Series this century, or this century.
Yeah, and when you look at this team on paper, like there's some talent. I mean, they have a really, really good opportunity to be a really good team this year. But at the same time, there's so many ways that it can go left. I think one of the biggest things that we're going to both probably harp on with this team is how elite defensively they're going to be. That middle infield defense is going to be probably top tier in the majors. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be Volpe Jazz, as Jazz Chisholm said that they have the best middle infield in, I think it was the American League. But, I mean, they have first baseman Lamont Wade. Willy Adames came over this offseason. They have him penciled in at short. Jung-Hoo Lee is coming back from surgery from last year. He'll be at center. Matt Chapman is going to be third base. Heliot Ramos is going to be the left fielder. Mike Yastrzemski at right. Tyler Fitzgerald at second. DHing Wilmer Flores. And I think one of the most underrated players in the game, Patrick Bailey. I think he's probably top 5 catcher right now in the game. People don't talk about how good he is as a defender.
Okay.
I like him a lot. And then rotation-wise, a lot of steady eddies. I mean, you got Logan Webb, very, very good pitcher. I love his changeup. Justin Verlander at age 42 in big 2025. Robbie Ray in big 2025. Jordan Hicks, a converted reliever who had his like good stretch last year. And then Kyle Harrison in his second year in the majors. Their bullpen is, I think, again, they love different arm slots. So if you guys remember, they had Taylor Rogers, who was the submarine pitcher. He's on the Reds now. He was traded recently this offseason, but now it's Ryan Walker, Tyler Rogers. Taylor Rogers was the one that went to Cincinnati.
Yep.
So then Camilo Doval, hopefully he can rebound into form. So yeah, those are a couple. They have Lou Trevino also is on the roster.
Yep. Not the golfer.
Yeah, so
not the golfer.
So what do you think? I mean, I think defensively they're going to be great. It's just going to be a question about like, can they like hit? And I think it's always been a question with the Giants of recent. Like they don't have like a premier bat. I mean, they spent on Jorge Soler, and that experiment ended. And I think you can fact check me. I think they haven't had a 30 home run player since Barry Bonds.
Since Bonds, yeah. I think that still holds true. I know that was true heading into last season, and I don't think they had a 30 home run guy last year. So
what do you think? Well, tell me about the roster. Talk to me.
It's interesting because it doesn't feel that different from last season, but they did bring in Willy Adames, who, as of right now in 2025, I think he's one of the better shortstops in baseball. Now, that deal I think is going to age maybe poorly. I mean, 7 years, 181 or 182 million dollars at 26 million AAV. They also signed Matt Chapman to a big extension in September, 6 years, 151 million dollars. Those two, that the left side of that infield is elite. I mean, Matt Chapman's probably not a Hall of Famer because the bat's never been at league average to above. But he's got 5 gold gloves and 2 platinum gloves. Like if he wins another gold glove this year, he's in that conversation with Nolan Arenado as, arguing for the best defensive third baseman of this generation. Nolan's got 10 gold gloves and 6 platinum gloves. So he's not like Chapman's not quite there. But Chapman's elite defensively and Adames, him and Adames are going to be really good on that side of the field.
So, the funny thing about that, when you brought that thing up about Nolan Arenado and Matt Chapman, you want a quick factoid?
Let's hear it.
They played on the same high school team together. Could you imagine playing that high school in like California, El Toro High School, Nolan Arenado and Matt Chapman?
It's insane.
And so, yeah, I mean, Matt Chapman, when he was with Oakland, he was elite. And then, in Toronto, he had a good spell. Like you said, it's all about the bat. If he can get the bat, then he's good to go. So,
yeah. So those guys highlight the defense. You're going to look for Tyler Fitzgerald he had a really hot stretch there for a bit. He's going to go over to second now. Patrick Bailey, really good defensive catcher. Like the defense is good. You got Jung-Hoo Lee back in center field, which is exciting. Healthy Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray's going to have to step up in the rotation because they lost Blake Snell to their rival Dodgers. And of course, their rotation is led by Logan Webb, who's a workhorse. One of maybe the more underrated pitchers in the sport, just because he plays for the Giants, maybe a team that doesn't get as much national attention, at least on the West Coast, as like the Dodgers do. Right now, they got Verlander penciled in as their number 2 on Fangraphs. I would think it's probably going to be Robbie Ray, who actually apparently he hit up Tarek Skubal after Skubal won the Cy Young last year, asking him for his changeup grip, and Skubal, helped him out, sent apparently a bunch of pictures and videos of the grip. And Ray's been doing well in spring training so far. So a lot of pressure on him this season as he wasn't very good last year. Health was banged up. And then Jordan Hicks is an interesting one. I think the conversion to reliever experiment for him has kind of been a bit of a failure. Coming over from St. Louis, the whole thing with him was he's a flamethrower, really good closer, but struggled with his command. If you look at his average fastball velocity, last season it was 94, whereas when he was with St. Louis, and I think for his first year with the Giants, it was like 99, 100. I mean, that's a huge difference.
I mean, the biggest thing with the Giants is like, do they have enough pitching? I mean, I watched a lot of Justin Verlander, who was on my fantasy team last year. I just feel like he just doesn't have the stuff anymore. I kind of feel like he's like pitched to contact, and I don't think he's more of unfortunately, he's more of like a third, like a borderline low level number 2, more so level 3 starter, your third starter. And then Robbie Ray, the things like he strikes people out, but can he stay healthy? I know you've always been a big Robbie Ray guy, but man,
he's never able to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing with him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then I just don't trust the pitching in San Francisco. Like Kyle Harrison, like he looks good, but at the same time, it's just like he's young. He has a lot to grow. Like I see stuff there in him, but I just don't see it. I mean, thankfully they play in San Francisco where it's like, it's very hard. It's a pitcher's park, which does help them.
I think the biggest concern for me with the Giants is more so the hitting. I feel okay about the pitching. I think there's some question marks with the bullpen, especially with Doval having a bad 2024. Right now, Fangraphs has Ryan Walker slotted as their closer. Yeah. I feel okay about the rotation if Verlander's not the number 2 guy. If he's 3 or even 4, I feel a little bit better about it. I don't feel great about Jordan Hicks, but they do have the stalwart and Logan Webb, which I think is going to help. But I worry about the lineup, like Lamont Wade Jr. Can Jung-Hoo Lee have a good second year, as he was hurt all of last season, basically? Can Matt Chapman finally show signs with the bats? You feel good about Adames, but I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to, be an all-star, be the best shortstop in their division. I don't know. I don't know if I see it with the lineup. Patrick Bailey, like you mentioned, really good defensively, but can he hit? Wilmer Flores at DH, Yastrzemski out in the outfield. Are these bats are they gonna show up? It's a loaded division. We talk about it all the time, but you got the Dodgers, who are the Dodgers. We know they're going to probably win this division. The Padres have a ton of star power. Even if maybe they're not super deep, they got those guys that, can have all-star seasons, be like Tatis can be one of the best players in the sport. I don't think the Giants really have that in their lineup right now. The Rockies are the Rockies. And then the D-backs are resurgent. They're going to be back this year. So they're in a loaded division. It's interesting. I'm going to be very curious to see what this new front office does. You mentioned Buster Posey. A little weird that they also have a GM. I'm not a huge fan of having a president of baseball ops and then a GM as well. Zach Manesian, he was a scout that got promoted up to their GM role. They brought in Adames in their first offseason. They did lose Snell, Conforto, Mark Canha, Thairo Estrada, and Kurt Casale. But
Kurt Casale can't hit.
Yeah, I don't feel like, the big loss there, really. The only one that you're writing home about is Blake Snell, which it didn't. I don't really seem like he signed pretty early in December. So,
he got it bad.
It might have been November, actually. It was November.
Yeah, he was the first one to sign. He got a freaking bag. Him and Severino were like the first two to sign.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, like, what approach this new front office takes. You got Buster Posey, a guy that won 3 World Series there. Like, I think he's the right guy for the job, but it remains to be seen. What kind of approach do they take? They brought in Adames, which was a win. They were able to sign one of the best free agents this offseason, but how do they go moving forward? Who do they maybe move on from that's on the roster right now that, the past regime guys, like, do they keep Jung-Hoo Lee? Obviously, they re-signed Matt Chapman, so they see him as a long-term piece there.
And I kind of disagree. I kind of feel like the whole Adames thing wasn't a win. I felt like they kind of overpaid in a sense because he signed before he was the first bat to sign at the big boys. Because remember, he signed on a Saturday and Juan Soto signed the next day. So say, for example, Adames waited 24 to 48 hours. You could have potentially had the Yankees involved in a bidding war. You could have the Red Sox. I mean, the Red Sox were in the whole Bregman sweepstakes, so they could have been driving up the price. And you could have had Toronto also in the bidding war. I know we're doing revisionist history, but at the same time.
Why would that be a bad thing then if they signed him before the bidding war started? Because all those teams were focused on Soto before.
I just don't think it's a win for them. I just don't think it was like they won anything. I kind of just feel like just offered the money quickly and they were like, cool.
Well, they know I think it's shrewd because you have Toronto. You have Toronto, a team that thinks, Toronto thinks they should be in the running for all the top free agents. They think they can spend with the big boys. Maybe San Francisco said, hey, we realize maybe we're not the most attractive free agent destination right now. We know we have the Dodgers in our division that we're going to compete with, and we're going to lose every single time considering how good they are. So they're like, hey, maybe we'll take, even though I think he's one of the best shortstops in baseball, he's probably a B-level free agent this offseason. Let's get him instead of getting involved in bidding wars with these guys that we're not going to sign, wasting our time. Let's just take care of our own business and get the guy that we know wants to come here. And they did that.
I just don't think it's a win for them. I kind of just felt like they kind of yeah, they moved quickly, but I don't think it's a win.
Why is it not a win? The deal could be bad in 2031, but right now he's one of the better shortstops in the game.
I just don't think he signs. I don't think he signs. If we were in a scenario where Juan Soto had already been pen to paper, I don't think he's there.
Why?
Because I think he would have been somewhere else for more money or same contract, different situation.
So why is that not a win then for them if they got him for less money than he would have gotten if he signed after Soto?
I just don't feel like I just kind of felt like they just ran to him and like pretty much like won him over quickly. I just don't think that's a win.
I think it's a win. I think it's a win for a team that has struggled to sign free agents. Would you rather have Willy Adames for the next 7 years or Carlos Correa, a guy they missed out on a couple of off seasons ago for the next 7 years? I know the answer to that question. Don't lie to me. It's Willy Adames.
That's tough. I mean, the thing about Correa is like he probably won't like the whole thing is like he probably won't pass any other physical for one. But like he does have he has championship DNA.
He's always hurt. And I said they missed out on him. The physical thing happened. So
yeah, but it's just like I'm just saying the whole Adames thing, I just don't think it's like that big of a win. Okay. Like it's like, okay, it's like, for example, I don't know if that's an agency thing. There had to have been something because they probably met valuation and they could have waited and gotten more money. I'm just saying So you're basically saying you think it's a red flag on the Adames side that he signed so early. Well, you're looking at it from a player perspective. He could have gotten more money. Both sides.
I think it's a win for the Giants. I think maybe for Adames, if he waited to sign after Soto and could have potentially gotten more money based on that contract, maybe it's a little bit of a loss for him. Maybe you think it seems like you think maybe it's a bit of a red flag on his side for just taking the money that early. When I don't know if he would have gotten more than 7 over 182 over 7, but you think he could have gotten 200?
I don't think 200, but 190, 200. Think about the Yankees, what the Yankees could have offered with the need that they had at third base. Think about what the Red Sox could have come out and offered. Think about what Toronto could have come up and offered. I'm just saying that, yeah, red flag on the player side and also red flag. It's just like with the Giants. It's kind of like, I just don't see like, oh, you met valuation. Like, what's enticing? Like, why?
What's enticing about
San Francisco? You're playing in like as a player for one, California taxes are pretty bad. And don't quote me, it's at like 30% or so. The tax in California. You also add that you're playing in San Francisco, probably the most expensive, and I know I'm getting very like detailed, but the most expensive housing market, one of the most expensive housing markets in the country, too. And you're playing in a park that is tailored for pitchers. Like if you're a lefty hitter, you can't really pull the ball. It's hot. You have to get it like really high because of to get into McCovey Cove, and it's very deep out to pull it on the right side to pull it out the field.
It's the 25th best stadium for hitters. It's a pitcher's park. You're right.
I'm just saying it's just like, okay, like he could have gotten more money from like another team, but also like the Giants, it's not a win because it's just like, okay, you just met valuation. You literally like didn't negotiate. You just literally ran and gave him what he wanted.
Yeah, I think that's why he signed, because he got the money that he wanted, 26 million AAV, according to Fangraphs. It's good money. I think they probably sold him on this new front office and how maybe the new front office is going to want to be in on all these, or maybe you're selling them on their new approach. Buster Posey, a guy that won 3 World Series. I think that's a guy that players are going to be willing to listen to and believe that, hey, maybe this guy knows how to build a winner. Early stages, but they probably sold them on, we want you to be alongside Matt Chapman, the cornerstone of our franchise, as we try to chip away at what the Dodgers are doing over there. Not going to happen, but that's probably the pitch they gave him.
Are those freaking building blocks?
I think yes. I think yes.
Put yourself in a GM. Do they have any building blocks? Does San Francisco have anything to build on?
You have Chapman, the best defensive third baseman in the national. Him and Arenado, whatever. You can argue over that. And Adames. And you have Logan Webb, who is a Cy Young caliber pitcher, and he's only 28 years old. So I think that's a good nucleus to build around.
So what you're telling me is you think you can build around a winner around Matt Chapman?
I'm saying these are good building block foundations moving forward. That's probably not. They probably don't have their all-star MVP candidate right now that you need to have to win a World Series, but they're getting there. I think this is a good start.
I don't think you. But the thing is that's not the point. I don't think you need an MVP or anything. MVP all-star. Like, yes, you need stars like 1 or 2, but you don't need like MVP candidates. Like, I mean, go look at, like, I know I'm kind of dating myself, but remember the Rays team. The only guy I can remember off those Rays teams was Evan Longoria. And then what else? And they had David Price. Those are the only 2 guys.
I think you're kind of underrating. I mean, Longoria was.
I know Longoria is a Hall of Famer. Longoria and David Price, both of them, like 100%. Go look at the most recent Rays teams that went to the World Series and played the Dodgers. Who did they have?
I mean,
That's
who
like
did yeah, and you could say maybe the Rangers didn't have, I mean, Corey Seager, but not necessarily an MVP candidate guy.
Roy Seager and Marcus Semien are way better than Matt Chapman
I
and,
agree.
and Willy Adames. But that's my whole case in point is I don't think Matt Chapman is a guy that I'm literally like, yes, he's a great MLB player. He's not a guy that you headline and be like, oh, put on a poster to be like, yo, come play for me.
I agree. You know me, I like guys with baseline, really good defense because the guy's gonna play. And 5-time Gold Glove, 2-time
And
Platinum Glove, like I said.
did he go to Vandy?
No, he's
Okay.
a
I was gonna say
California guy, didn't go to college.
I was gonna say because if you went to Vandy, that's also that's something you like baseline local product Vandy. That's just like boom. If that ever comes out, like I think Williams buying the jersey, framing it up next to the Jeter jersey, we're at his next house that he ever buys in the future. But not getting too far off. I just don't think like when you look at the Giants, there's literally no building blocks. Like I see a bunch of good MLBers, but I don't see like guys that I'm like pretty much like, oh, this is like who's gonna like carry. This is who I'm like looking like. I
Well,
don't.
yeah, and yeah, okay, fair. I mean, I agree. There's nothing like the lineup is again what concerns me. This team's not going to win the World Series right now. I think they're a long way to go in their kind of mini rebuild that's going to happen under this new front office. The farm system's not that great, which is concerning. Really, the only guy they have down there right now that's kind of
Bryce.
is Bryce Eldridge, which who knows remains to be seen. The MLB's got him number 24 in terms of top prospects right now. I don't know. I mean, I think this is a team that kind of knows what they have to do. They cut payroll by $30 million. I don't know. That's first offseason. They know they're not going to compete with the Dodgers in terms of spending. So they're going to have to float around the second tier of free agents. I don't know. It's interesting. New team, a new front office, new approach. I don't think we're going to see that big of a difference this year, but I personally think getting Adames was a win for them. I don't know. We disagree. It's okay.
No, I'm just saying, like looking at this team, I'm like, I just felt they could have spent their money in different ways. Like Justin Verlander, you could have gone out and spent that money on a guy like Nick Pivetta. You could have gone, hell, you could have even traded. I know I bring this always up, Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman would pitch great there. Pitch the contact guy, ground ball pitcher there with great defense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I'm just saying, it's just like you could have spent money like on Nick Pivetta's, Marcus Stroman's, Walker Buehler's, like guys like that. Like instead of getting a guy who's 40 and unfortunately at the end of his career. And so
maybe they want him to mentor the young guys.
And for me, I just don't think there's like things like good MLBers. Like I'm telling you right now, Lamont Wade, another underrated guy in this league. They have a bunch of underrated ballers. Like Lamont Wade, I think a lot of teams would love to have the OBP machine that Lamont Wade is. Like incredible OBP guy. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, DraftKings not sponsored. Looking for a sponsorship? Hit us up. 80.5. Went 80 and 82. Best case scenario, I see it. I put down on our list wild card team. Worst case is that they're battling with the Rockies. Maybe even the Rockies surpass them, and then Robbie Ray and Justin Verlander just proved to be awful. So, William, I'll let you take it away. How are you feeling about this team? Do you agree with the assessments?
I agree with the line. I think they're going to be right around 80 wins. I'm going to go over. I think they go 81 and 81 or 82 and 80. I don't think they're going to be a wild card team, but I think they're a little bit better than last season, even with the loss of Blake Snell, because I think Logan Webb's going to have a great year, and I'm confident that Robbie Ray is going to have a bounce back season. I'm not saying he's going to be getting Cy Young votes or anything, but I do think he's going to be pretty good. I think the lineup's going to be a little bit better, hopefully with Lee healthy. So we're going over, slight over.
I'm taking the under. I personally do not like this team. I just think the NL West is just going to be a gauntlet. I feel Colorado is underrated in a sense, and I feel if Colorado gets ticking, I feel like they'll be pesking games. And I'll go out and say my hot take that if you were to place this team in the Central, they will not win the Central. I don't even think they're the best team. They would be the best team in the Central. I think the Reds, Cubs, and I think the Cardinals potentially. I think the Cardinals and Giants are very similar. I would bet more. I would even go on and say that I think I'm more confident with the Cardinals than I am the Giants this year.
Oh, okay. You're really out on the Giants.
I just don't see how they put up runs, and their rotation is just the only guy is Logan Webb.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And that's kind of like the Cardinals. It's literally Sonny Gray and a bunch of question marks. And then they don't have like good hitters in that lineup. The only like decent hitter is Lamont Wade.
Well, Willy Adames, pretty good addition, I think.
Yeah, a good addition, but I don't think he's like they don't have like an on base machine, singles machine like
outside of Lamont Wade.
Outside of Lamont Wade, like Willy Adames has a lot of pop. Matt Chapman, you already know what's up with the bat. Great defensively, but that's what I'm saying. Like I'm just really out on this team.
Okay.
So
fair enough. We disagree. That's fine. I didn't think this one was going to be so contentious. I didn't think we were going to go 30 minutes on the Giants, but we did.
I don't know. No offense to my San Franciscoans. I just don't feel confident at all. Yeah. Hey, maybe fly me out and we'll watch a game together. Whoever's in San Francisco, man, take me to House of Prime Rib and
have you been to that stadium?
No.
Ooh.
It's nice.
It's great. I was there. I can't remember what year it was. 07, 08, maybe. It was toward the end of Bonds' career, but when he was pushing for 755. And I saw him hit a home run. It was the year they had the All-Star game. 08, 07.
You know, out of all the American cities, like I've been to pretty much most of them. There's only like five or six big major American cities that I haven't been to. And one of those being San Francisco. Like San Francisco, Milwaukee, Detroit, Phoenix, Portland, and that's pretty much it. I've been to pretty much all other big major American cities.
Never been to Phoenix. I've been to Phoenix. I haven't been to a Diamondbacks game in Phoenix.
I just have to the thing about Phoenix is like you got to go golf, and my golf game, is atrocious. Like, so
you can't. Yeah, I mean, you can't go to Phoenix in the summer. Really, you got to go right now. Now is prime time to go to Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, the other day, this was just to wrap the pod. One of my buddies is getting married, and so we're planning the bachelor party for him. And we were looking at locations, and somebody said Phoenix, and I'm like, we're really gonna do a bachelor party in Phoenix in July. And I was like,
no.
And it's like, what are we gonna do?
Kayla went to a bachelorette party in Arizona. I think it was in August, and it was super hot. I mean, I don't know why the bride decided that, but hey, it seems like it was a fun trip, and they all survived. So
I hear good things about Scottsdale. I do have on my list to go to Waste Management.
Can I? Okay, I knew you were going to bring that up. Can I say maybe my sports hot take is that tournament is so overrated and annoying.
You know why it's overrated?
Why?
Because they have a bunch of stars, and it's just like the first opener of the year. Like it's like when you deprive people of something, it's like the same concept of spring training. We've been deprived for baseball for like 2 months, and right now we're watching. For example, the Yankees are trotting out Andrew Velasquez at third base, and he's doing diving stops and throwing people at first. And I was like, oh my God, he's such a great third baseman. He should start. Like that's what happens when you deprive somebody of a product. Like
and I think like it's always had the reputation for being crazy and letting different fan environment than a typical golf tournament, which is great. But I think over the past few seasons, it's gotten a little bit too crazy, and fans they're taking it a step too far, running out onto the course, throwing it's just a little too much. I think they need to tone it down a little bit. It's okay to have fun at golf, but just tone it down a little bit and let's act like civilized human beings.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the two this is my final thing. Like the two golf tournaments I want to attend to is I want to do the Masters and I want to do the okay.
Of course, everyone wants to go to the Masters.
Yeah, I know that you got to get on tickets and you got to get on a wait list and everything, but I want to do Masters and I want to do Waste Management. I don't care about the PGA. I don't care about the U.S. Open. Maybe British Open, but Augusta National and Waste Management.
I think the U.S. Open might be my favorite major in golf.
Yeah,
take, but I don't like how they make it almost too hard. But some of I like how they rotate the venues. Some really classic venues. It seems like it's always a close tournament. I love Augusta. Don't get me wrong, but
it's easy. Augusta naturally you see scores 15 under par, while US Open's like more so like, 8 under par will win you the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's my thing. Like, these golfers are almost too good now. Like, I don't want to see a tournament where guys are shooting 25 under, 30 under. Like, I like to see some struggle. I like to see a guy, that's maybe even par or even one over that's in the top 10. The winning score is like 6 under, which is what the US Open is like. So that's our golf tangent, though, I think.
And then they got the crazy rough.
Yeah, it's always fun. They make it really hard, maybe a little bit too hard, but these guys, they're just so good now, so dominant that it's hard to it's good to see them struggle a little bit.
Locked In Sports golf soon.
So we'll bring in Mullinex.
So yeah.
All right, that's the Giants. I'm over, you're under. Contentious podcast, longer podcast than I expected. Any final thoughts before we get out?
None at all. We'll come back tomorrow. Just give a little preview on the Rays. I think this is going to be another longer one. I have a different outlook on the Rays than most people do.
Okay, leave it at that. The Rays. I'm not going to say anything. That podcast is next up. Thank you all for listening to this one. Until then, we'll catch you next time. Peace out.
Peace.